All right, it's an honor to be here. I love the IAB. I was on the board for like 10 minutes before I left BuzzFeed. And then Randy said, you leave a company, you can't stay on the board. And when you leave companies as frequently as I do, it's hard to stay on the board of the IAB. A couple programming notes. Eric Harris, my COO, who's been my business partner for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, thinks I can't get through this in 24 minutes. I think I can. The other programming note is you are not allowed to use the bathroom in the Google Lounge unless you have a meeting with Google. You would think that Google would want to cultivate us and let everybody use the bathroom, but that is not the case. I'm going to talk today about what I'm seeing in live video, what I'm seeing in content, and some bets that I've had to make in my journey and how I think about betting in general. And I think for most of us in the room, that's really what it's about. I love this quote. It's a little bit trite, but it's so true in so many ways. You actually have to skate to where you think the puck is going to be. And by consequence of that, you kind of start moving before you know where it's actually going to end up. So you may miss the puck. The one thing I know for sure, as someone who's never actually played hockey, is that if you skate to where the puck is, it will not be there when you arrive. To this day, I have people call me up and say, hey, we want to do what BuzzFeed did. How do we do that? The only reason why doing what BuzzFeed did in 2010 was a good idea was because everybody thought it was a bad idea. I can guarantee you now that trying to do what BuzzFeed does or what Vice is doing in 2017 is not going to work for you. It's too late. BuzzFeed is BuzzFeed. Vice is Vice. This is the other quote that I like, and I'm not sure that he actually said this. Somebody told me who's very close to him that he said this, and I believe it. It's a bit of an enigma wrapped in a riddle. The conventional wisdom is usually right and seldom profitable. It's such a challenge, but that really is the challenge that we all face. It kind of means what everybody is doing because it's the right thing, but you can't make any money if you do that because everybody's doing it. This is the one that I struggle with the most nights lying in bed. You cannot be contrarian for being funny back there. Oh, there we go. You cannot be contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, but if you don't, again, you also have no shot. Okay, so 3 topics I'm going to talk to you about. My bet with Cheddar, my marriage, and Les Moonves. Those are the 3 topics for today. We're living in a post-TV era. TV is over. There's a few people in the audience who probably are unhappy to hear that, who work for mixed digital television companies, but for most of us, this is fucking incredible. This is such an amazing opening for all of us. The numbers are the numbers, the facts are the facts, and yet people remain in denial largely because they have large amounts of money to stay in denial or to pretend that they're in denial. These are the stats. People between the ages of 18 to 24 are watching 48% television over the past 5 or 6 years. You can see the other demos there as well too. Here's another view of it. Media Redef did this using Nielsen data. Yes, CBS, NBC, and ABC are making up some of this viewing in digital. Yes, they will be some of, if not giant winners in this big move to digital video. But people sitting in front of cable boxes is over. Your kids are never going to have one. It's the shittiest piece of hardware in your house. It's the product of a monopoly. It doesn't hold a candle to an iPad or an Android device. It's over. We can debate whether it's over for 5 or 7 years, but it's over. I have a 7 and an 8-year-old. They're never getting a cable box. For those of you who have children graduating college, none of them are going to go do household formation now and get that piece of crap. It's over. And here are the numbers. These are Nielsen numbers. Every time I show, you guys should go now, whoa. Everyone go, whoa. Every time I show these numbers, people are surprised by these numbers. It's like I made these numbers up or there's some sort of secret. They're not a secret. These are the facts. These are the average viewing audiences of these networks. People in their 60s. Half of Fox News' audience is obviously dead. That's the only way you get to a median of 67. Their audiences are also unbelievably tiny. To Randy's point, we're killing ourselves to give these advertisers billions and gajillions and magillions of video views. Meanwhile, their peak audiences in the demo are less than 40,000 people in some cases, and some of these guys are doing billions of dollars a year in revenue. We got to tell these advertisers what's going on. We got to just tell them the truth. We got to tell them the fact that it's small audiences for people over the age of 60. And yes, the commercials work great, and yes, you can do X, Y, and the other thing, but there's a big opening here. Okay, so now I have told you about what I believe to be the big opportunity, what I believe to be this big explosion of change. Now there's two bets to make. Here is the first bet. In the future, there will only be on-demand appointment viewing. We are in a golden age of content. I can't stop watching this stuff. I've watched everything on this screen and just about everything else. I've watched Black Mirror. I love it. In the future, people will not watch TV. They will watch on-demand programming from new entrants and some incumbents and the people that sell you your toilet paper. They will watch on-demand programming and short crap. That is one possible bet, and that actually is the conventional wisdom. The conventional wisdom is people will watch House of Cards and minute-long videos on Facebook. Although, after years of making everybody make minute-long videos on Facebook because those were the only things working on Facebook, Facebook said last week, you know what, it might be bad to have people just watching crappy little videos, so we'll change the algorithm. But this is one view of the future, and I believe this is the contrarian, this is the common wisdom. The common wisdom is that no TV, no cable news will exist in the future. My bet is that in addition to House of Cards and Orange is the New Black and the little stuff on Facebook, ambient, linear, window on the world content will get rebooted for people under the age of 60. There will be a new sports center. There will be new food and house programming you watch. There will be new business news. There will be new news. There is a place for content that gets partial attention, like the radio. When you get your kids dressed for school in the morning, when you're cooking dinner, when you're repairing something in your house, when you're getting dressed, what do you put on the TV screen? If you're 20 or 30 years old, you've got nothing. You don't want to watch Matt Lauer. You don't want to watch Kathy Lee Gifford. You're not watching Bill O'Reilly. They're much older than you. They're not for you. And it's programmed for a group of people that are in their 60s. So my bet is that it gets rebooted and that people create new stuff. And with all the connected televisions, that will need to be filled. And here's what we think our first cut at it looks like. I've got one or two questions I want to get in.
Okay.
President-elect Trump, John Steinberg from Cheddar.
We're right across here from Trump Tower.
We're here right outside of the city of San Francisco.
I'm here at the DirecTV Now launch event.
The co-founders of Reddit.
I'm here with Mark Field, CEO of Ford.
We were really young founders.
Bringing certainty to Wall Street.
They're completely different technologies. Well, I want to build the greatest marketing machine
Around the technology of wellness.
Here with Ron Coughlin, president of HP Personal Systems.
Hey, John.
We're here today announcing a new partnership called What Keeps You Going, which is a partnership between Dunkin' and Cheddar. So you can see right there from the watch list, I could quickly execute a trade like that.
We have liftoff.
The amazing Christy Brinkley.
We've grown well beyond that.
You can just speak to your phone and ask it to order your coffee.
Necessity became the mother of invention.
This is amazing.
Ransomware is an epidemic.
He got mad, see that?
Let have to borrow your pants.
It's Alyssa. Teach me how to parkour.
I'm going to take a picture of myself in its reflection.
Think about the next generation of cable.
It is the future of television.
Cheddar, one of the dominating forces of how we get our information.
You're watching Cheddar!
Okay, so it's a live video technology, media, business, and culture news network. It is the soft space to enter live news because everybody in their 20s and 30s is interested in technology, media, politics, world affairs, culture, rockets, self-driving cars, so on and so forth. We see very large audiences for this. There's absolutely an appetite for it, even in the past week, around major political events, doing live as well, too.
So, we have here today, this is Link Alert, Senior Counsel, Deputy Director of the Immigrants' Rights Project, who argued in the federal court just now. Lee, why don't you tell us what the judge granted and what you asked for?
The judge.
All right, so that was the stay being granted. You can put the lights back up. That was the stay being granted on Saturday night. We were there first. In fact, this is a screenshot of MSNBC running our feed because they couldn't get a big truck there fast enough. That's how opened up this is right now. The people that even do TV can't do TV fast enough. They've got to go to our Periscope feed. Okay, so you have your bet on content, or in this case, I have mine. This particular bet requires distribution, very fittingly, as Dan Rose spoke about a moment ago. Okay, distribution is like marriage. This is my family. No one's gonna go like, oh, no one's gonna do that? Okay, all right. In a marriage, both people need to love each other. It doesn't work if only one person needs love. It doesn't work if only one person is giving love. You gotta love each other to have a flourishing marriage. If I'm the only person smiling in this picture, it doesn't quite work, right? With most of the social networks and their programs, the problem is that there is no marriage. There is no reciprocity. Especially with Facebook, they don't need anybody. And this creates the situation that we're seeing now with this report that was put out by Digital Content Next, where they surveyed 17 large publishers. And of those large publishers, the average publisher over the first half of the year only made $7 million on distributed content. It doesn't work. And why does it not work? It doesn't work because these programs tend to have misalignments of incentives. If they give a series of checks to people, like they did with Live, those people end up doing the least work because they can't make any more money off of it than the check that they're getting, and therefore they just mail it in. The second issue tends to be that these networks will always push monetization to their owned and operated inventory over the third-party content. They keep 100 cents on the dollar for user-generated content. They take a split in some cases, or nothing in some cases, when they send it to the publisher, and therefore, it's not self-sustainable for the publisher. The third thing, these programs have almost always been single-term programs, or two-term programs, and then over. We saw this with the YouTube funding for original content, which we participated with at BuzzFeed. We're now seeing that Facebook is going to not do a second round of live checks, and they're going to move on to doing their version of Netflix for funding that kind of content. The solution is not to not do these, because hey, money is money. Assume it's a single-term program. Plan for the post-term. How will you be self-sufficient? What will you do with the people that you've spun up and staffed in response to those funds? And finally, if you're going to do it, do great work. Don't do bad work, because if you do bad work just to cash the checks, you're going to not be able to be self-sufficient when those programs are not renewed. AKA, read the book. Growing up, I did not have a lot of friends. This probably does not surprise many of you. I watched a lot of Twilight Zone. I loved Twilight Zone. This is my favorite episode of Twilight Zone. Dealing with these social networks for one of their programs in the absence of a formalized deal ends up being a bit like this story. This is one of their best episodes. In To Serve Man, they find the aliens come down, the aliens give this book to the humans. It's very hard to translate. You can see that cover there. It's like Egyptian hieroglyphics a little bit. They're only able to translate the cover of the book, and the cover of the book is titled To Serve Man, at which point they are elated. The aliens have given them new agriculture technology, they've cured illness, and so the humans embark on an exchange program where they send humans to outer space and the aliens keep coming down to Earth. This is the final scene where the man who works at the agency that's been working on translating the book is so excited, he's going off with the aliens. The woman colleague who works with him shows up at the last minute as he's boarding the spacecraft.
Mr. Chambers! Mr. Chambers! Don't get on that ship! The rest of the book, To Serve Man, it's a cookbook! No!
So you know the old saying, if you don't know what's for dinner, you're for dinner. Okay, so where do we go from here? Be Les Moonves. Les Moonves thinks 2.5 Men is like the best thing that was ever invented still. Les Moonves thinks CBS is worth like what, $7 or $9 per sub? If you want to put it on an OTT system, Les Moonves thinks it's worth more. Learn from history. Focus on the placement of your content. And in this, I use the supermarket analogy, end caps. Where is it going to be featured? Where is it on the shelf? What is it next to? If it's on Facebook, next to something exploding, or a person getting a tattoo in scantily clad clothing, which does very well on Facebook, no one is going to watch your substantive content. If you put CNN next to something exploding on Facebook, people aren't going to watch it. Aggressively window content in the AVOD window. Your advertising-supported content needs to be a subset of what you're putting on other platforms and you want to be paid for. Because if you just do all AVOD, and we all know what advertising is like, you're not going to make enough money to be self-sufficient. Finally, do deals. Don't go in programs, do deals. And how do you know if you did a deal? If a lawyer's involved, you did a deal. If you signed a contract that's specific to you, you did a deal. ESPN realized this early on with the fact that they needed 2 revenue streams as early as the mid-'80s, subscription and advertising revenue. And on the end cap point, this is what our Sling TV channel looks like. Part of the reason why this is working so well for us and we're so excited about it is we're next in the base bundle to CNN, Bloomberg, Newsy. We're right there. We're adjacent to content where people go in a neighborhood looking for that kind of content. And people have known this for ages when it comes to the cable programming guide. Another kind of adjacency can be contextual adjacency. Twitter has an enormous finance Twitter community. They have people that go to Twitter loving talking about stocks, technology, and innovation. They even use cash tags. So that end capping and that aisle positioning can also be related to the context of the platform. Also, when putting your stuff on these shelves, think about what's my breed of apple that is not yet in the apple bin? What will make my Golden Delicious a little bit different from the green and the red one? In the case of our partnership with Amazon, we're the first people to put live into the Amazon Channels program. What's needed in terms of the content? Young people are interested in everything old people are interested in. Vice and Shane did find this out with culture and world events and social issues. For us, live and all of this stuff, which is such a big part of culture, is what we choose to focus on. We find that there's a market for it. And there is interest in this content, despite the fact that people telling us there wouldn't be. Our viewers are super young. They're overeducated. Obviously, they're interested in technology. And they make a lot of money, despite what a lot of people say on the web, that there are no young people that make enough money to buy the goods that people want to sell. They're interested in all of this amazing stuff. And just John at Cheddar, if you want me to send you this deck, this is a 200-person survey that we ran. And they want to plan their financial future. A lot of the incumbent finance news brands will tell you that young people have no interest. They do have an interest. Give them hosts that look like them. A lot of the anchors and the people that are on TV because they make so much money, they won't give up the seat to these young people. They want one more year of ordinary income, which means there are all of these talented young producers and researchers who want to be on air but can't get the spot because Matt Lauer won't give it up. It has to be visually vibrant. Don't use green screens. We use the floor of the New York Stock Exchange and the corner of the Flatiron Building. It's a visual medium, as Dan Rose said. Make it visually stimulating. And we are doing window on the world content. It's a visual that allows people to see what's going on in the world. You can do it at a fraction of the cost. Just like Google built those servers and Legos, look how ramshackle our control room works. Our total CapEx expenditure to do everything at this point is about $800,000. 2 studios and a control room. We built a lot of it ourselves. We jammed it in. It does break sometimes, but it's not the multiples of that, the multiples of multiples it would take to do otherwise. And modern delivery, which I break into 2 tranches, OTT and then connected devices. To simplify this, everyone who has an iPhone gets an Apple TV in the future. Everybody that has an Android gets a Roku. I'm going to skip through the ad stuff because I'm running out of time and you saw it. Final thought. The incumbents will only stay asleep for so long. CNN announced this 2 days ago. They're doing a floor from the New York Stock Exchange. I wonder where they got that idea. Nothing has changed in the past 7 months other than our launch. Now they want to do this. But we in this room have some opportunities. The incumbents are over-earning, and because they're over-earning, the fees that they're getting, the sub-fees that they're getting from the cable systems have most favored nations clauses. They can't charge less to the skinny bundle than they do to the big bundle without causing the big bundle fee to go down. And the skinny bundles need to cut their costs opening up a lot of opportunity for us because we can do this more cheaply and we're not trapped by the over-earning of the past. Finally, I want to play this for you and then I want to talk about it. Listen very, very carefully to what he says. I'm going to play it again. Is the sound working, guys?
We gave our content to Apple. Instead of getting paid for every device sold the way we get paid for every home, every cable home, we did an a la carte model where they got 30% and we only got paid if people watch the content. Is that a sustainable model?
Well, did you hear what he said? We only got paid if people watched our content. And he said that with indignation. I think the future rests somewhere in between, where we can cut deals to provide quality content to platforms and distributors, not unlike Discovery does. There will never be a future again that is lavish as the one that he lived in the past, where you got paid for every system you were on, regardless of whether or not people watched it. But there is a middle ground for us to have between this gajillions and tons of inventory and being paid for things nobody watches. I do think the people in this room can take enormous share from television. I believe it's ours for the taking. And the incumbents are so fat and happy right now that I think that it'll be slow for them to move. So that's all I got. Randy, I think I left time for one question. Sorry about that.
God, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think we actually, first I want to say to them, this was actually an important presentation. I hope you were taking notes. If you weren't taking notes, you said you would send it to anybody who wants it.
Sure.
This is an important presentation. The one question that I want to have, that I want to ask you, and I guess it's a discussion topic.
Yeah.
One of the things that I took away from it was that, from your point of view, the platform marketplace is actually larger and more competitive than most people think.
Absolutely. I think our natural allies and friends as content creators are the cable companies and the incumbent media companies. They have a need for content. They sell something to the consumer. I think we're much more simpatico and married with them, and they're going to compete for our content. I think that we spend too much time in the room programming for Facebook and not spending enough time talking to Comcast and Charter.
Yeah, and so, but you're also indicating there are even other platforms there too. Sling is a platform.
YouTube will have a skinny bundle by the end of the year, right? That's long been rumored. Hulu has gone into live, right? Time Warner Spectrum will have one as well too. X1 with Comcast is a platform. DirecTV Now is launched. Sling is launched. There's a blossoming going on right now. I've left out 4 of them in just speaking to you now.
Okay, this is, again, very important. You're going to be around for a bit so people
I'm around all day, yeah.
Okay, thank you, John
Randy,
Steinberg.
Thank you so much, yeah.